All right. So welcome everyone. It's the 7th community call of B.Protocol. My name is Eitan. I'm leading the growth and the ecosystem development in B.Protocol. And we haven't had a call for way too long. I think it's been like maybe 2 months since December was the last one that we held. So very happy that we made it for another one, and I do hope we can make them more regular. Lots of stuff to cover during this call. We'll try to make it kind of concise. We have a special guest with us here today, Hazard from KeeperDAO, who will in a few minutes present KeeperDAO and talk a bit about our upcoming integration. Kind of the agenda for the call today is, I guess we'll start with KeeperDAO, or maybe a few words from Yaron about the integrations first. And so probably that would be starting with that, and then we'll go over KeeperDAO and the upcoming integration, which will lead us also for a few proposals for the DAO that hopefully will be up for a vote later today. And yeah, lots of growth as well. There's the first coordinate circle ended, and we started the second one. I think there's still kind of lots of things we can grow with that, but I think it was a great start. Our Discord looks amazing compared to how it looked before the first epoch, the first circle. So yeah, so thanks Mediac for that, and all the others who contributed for the previous one, and those to join the second one we just started. So Yaron, if you want to start with a brief kind of intro on the integrations, both with Vesta and the new liquidity integration.
Yeah, thank you. Maybe yeah. So on the integration, and like a brief update what we did from last call. So first of all, I'm sure you all noticed that the TVL really went up, and a lot of it is because KeeperDAO deposited around $90 million in our BEM of LUSD. So that was, it's like a great milestone. Also, now we are the biggest liquidity pool in liquidity, biggest stability pool, which means that from every liquidation we will take around 40% of the collateral. Especially it means that now it's like the real game, and not only in 100 finance but also in liquidity we can really demonstrate the ability of the backstop. There also was like a mini bear market or a dip around the end of January, which overall eventually ended well, but it did point that there are things to improve when LUSD is not pegged to 1, and this is why we deployed a new version which will take also the LUSD USD price feed into account. And also the reason we didn't before is that we went live, the price was, first of all, it was more pegged, but also there was no such price feed. And now it's like a good opportunity to deploy a new version, and since we cannot really upgrade the contracts right now, and moreover next week, we'll start some campaigns to and ask more loudly people to move to the new contract if they want. And in the new contract, yeah, it will also give rise to integrations with KeeperDAO, where basically what will happen there is as follows. KeeperDAO keepers will help with rebalancing. So the rebalancing process is that there was a LUSD liquidation, so the stability pool gave LUSD, now we have ETH, now we want to sell it back to LUSD. So there's some MEV, miner extracted value in this process whenever there is arbitrage opportunity, because we offer some discount. So this is where KeeperDAO keepers will step in, and basically they will get some discount over the sale, which will come on the expense of the fees, and part of the proposal here is to turn on the fees, but some of it will go to the keepers, which in turn will do some auction, and this is maybe Hazard can say on, I know, some kind who is willing to get the lowest discount or something in that flavor, and then he will execute the rebalance, will take some profit, and the rest will go to the DAO. From technical perspective, so one action is to set the fee flag on to 1%. The other operation is on the fee wallet, which is currently completely empty. So the admin of the fee wallet will now just be a smart contract, which will know to give some of the fees to KeeperDAO. So this is sort of, what we give or want to give to KeeperDAO, and from KeeperDAO's side, we will first of all get like improved rebalance process, and also help with seeding new backstops in the present and in the future. So this is the KeeperDAO integration. Once and we worked on that. Another thing we worked on is the Vesta integration, and we went live exactly when they went live. And hopefully, as of tomorrow, we will also promote it together. This is something very similar that we already do with liquidity. We had to do very small adjustments to support Vesta, but also had a lot of work so we can go live exactly when they do. So they help us, they share the contract. They actually feature us in their website. So users who go to the stability pool can go to our website. So yeah, that's what the development team worked on in the last couple of months.
Worth saying thank you to Amaruro for keeping us up to date with the latest things in DeFi and specifically on Vesta, just to put us, making us realize they're going live, and really the integration with them started from there. So this is kind of a call for other members. If you hear about any specific new protocols that are about to launch, or interesting DAOs that you're familiar with, definitely put it on our Discord. Let us know about it, so we can go ahead and facilitate these kind of integrations.
Yeah, I can take it that. I think moreover, also for liquidity, for all USD, I think we first learned about it from our Discord chat. So yeah, these things definitely help, and it's really hard to keep in touch with everything that is going on. So yeah.
I think that was also Ramaruro. So yeah.
Thank you. And one question, suggestion for this migration from one BAMM to another. Some development work, but in Yearn Finance, when they move from one vault to another, they offer like the batch transaction, so like 10 users can pool the transaction, and it becomes very cheap. Could something like that be done here? That would probably incentivize the move better.
Yeah, no, so it's a good idea, but no, I don't think it is, because it's like fully. So in Yearn you get some token where you can give allowance, and then maybe with the allowance we can do that. No, but here it's not it's not tokenized. So no, user has to deposit. This is why we cannot even offer like a transfer button, because user has to do all the transactions, and it's multiple, and yeah, it is a headache. Yeah, but no, we cannot batch it. Yeah, also now it's probably late for, like for the current version, the new version, but maybe like for future versions that we deploy, it could be a good idea. But yeah.
All right. So next on the lineup is Azard from KeeperDAO. So thanks, man, for joining us. I don't know. Go ahead, present yourself, KeeperDAO, past, present, future.
Sure. Yeah, so hey everybody. Thanks for having me on your community call. I love coming on and having the chance to talk about what we're building at KeeperDAO. And especially, it's really fun when we have the chance to coordinate with other protocols, other communities, and share what we're doing with each other. That's probably my favorite part of DeFi and being in this industry. So I'm Hazard. I am the CEO of KeeperDAO. I've been involved in DeFi for a few years. I trained as a mathematician and worked in big tech and startups as a software engineer, and then kind of made the jump over into DeFi. So KeeperDAO, I would imagine that most people in this community probably know KeeperDAO through our Hiding Vaults product, right, which sort of resembles a lot of aspects of the V1 of B.Protocol. And that's what made it really fun for us to kind of partner up here, because I think, as I said on the governance forum and here in the Discord, I think there's a lot more that we can do working together than sort of competing for the same essential market. I'll just sort of back up and explain a little bit about what KeeperDAO is and what we're trying to do, and then I'll get into a little bit about how B.Protocol is how what you guys are doing is something that's really great for both of us to work together on, and a little bit about how our integration is gonna look in the future. The way to think about KeeperDAO is that we're sort of we're a DAO, we're a collective, we're dedicated to building technology that's going to transform MEV into a public good for the network. So MEV is usually seen as a very bad thing, right? It's something that's hurting users, it's hurting protocols, it's removing value from the places where it's being created. And it's sort of transferring that value to miners, right? Or validators or block producers, whatever have you. The thing is, the way we view it is that MEV isn't bad or good. It's just sort of, it's inefficiency, right? It's a form of inefficiency that occurs, and it occurs in all blockchains. It's just an inherent property of how they work. And we've seen a lot of projects like Flashbots, for example, that are very concerned with MEV from the perspective of this relationship between the bots that identify, that discover the MEV, and then the miners who actually, mine those MEV-bearing transactions into the blockchain. And there's a lot of concern that, oh, well, what if those bots were the miners? What if they were the same people? And so they're sort of feeding themselves this MEV, and they're mining it in the most advantageous way to them. And then that could concentrate, right? Could concentrate wealth in the hands of a few miners. And that would mean that the network is no longer decentralized, right? So that's a threat to the security of the network. And so projects like Flashbots are very concerned about how to distribute the MEV when it's being extracted by miners. So to make sure that it's not extracted by any one miner in particular, right? What we're doing is very different. What we're doing, we look at this through the lens of who owns the MEV. If your transaction could be backrun, if you're making a big sell or buy on a DEX, and there's a background arbitrage that occurs. That background is because of your impact on the market. So that MEV that's created there is direct result of your interaction with the market. So in an efficient system, the MEV caused by your transaction would be part of your transaction. It would belong to you. It would go to you. If you were a protocol and you were doing rebalancing, it would go to you. If you were a stable coin trying to internalize arbitrage for keeping the peg, it would go to you. The fact that it doesn't is a reflection of the fact that our markets in DeFi are fairly young. In a fully mature, optimized market, all that MEV would go to the order producer. So what our protocol does is it says, rather than worry about how we divide the pie between the bot and the miner, what if we built a protocol that lets us worry about how to divide the pie between the bot and the originator of the transaction, so the user or the protocol? And it's quite hard to do that. It's not that it's easy to do what Flashbots does either, but it's quite difficult to set up a system that aligns all of the incentives between the bots and the users and everything, and can actually carry this out in a way that makes sense. And that's what we built, and that's what we've built, and that's what we're integrating here with B.Protocol. And so what it essentially allows us to do is to say, if you have some transactions that are going to have MEV in them. So for example, with the BAMM design, when arbitrageurs rebalance the BAMM after a liquidation, there's MEV. And in some sense, the MEV is sort of it's at the expense of the liquidity providers in the BAMM. So the market could be kept more balanced if this MEV wasn't there. And what our protocol lets us do is to say, if we can relay these rebalanced transactions through our coordination protocol, what will happen is that the keepers in our protocol will extract the MEV on behalf of the LPs before the transaction is executed. So before it's settled on the blockchain, the MEV is already out of that transaction, it's gone. So there's nothing that could be extracted by a miner during settlement time. And so because we've extracted it prior to settlement time, we can then control how the MEV is redistributed, right? And the way that we do that with our protocol is that we, pass the vast majority, 80% of that MEV back to the originator. And the remainder is split between a combination of being burned to ensure that the our tokens and everything that we're issuing rebates with are not just inflation, and going to a staking pool which secures the integrity of the network. And what's really nice about this, what's really interesting, is that protocols like B.Protocol and the BAMM can internalize the MEV that would have been lost, right? This MEV would have gone to miners, and it would have been this thing that they didn't know that they were losing maybe, but it would have impacted the markets. It's sort of a hidden cost in doing things like rebalances. So say you have a medium-sized liquidation that occurs, and maybe it imbalances the BAMM, but not too much, not enough that it would be profitable for an arbitrager to do that, to rebalancing. What that's going to mean is that for the LPs, that's going to be time that they're not, that liquidity isn't, yield bearing. And it's going to cause a situation where there's less capital ready to liquidate, the next round. And what's nice about our system is it makes that process, any transaction, but here, the particular case here is rebalancing of the BAMM. It makes it more efficient so that it can be done more frequently, right? So there's all kinds of things in DeFi that rely on the action of agents like keepers or arbitrageurs. And what our protocol does is it lets those processes be more efficient and frequent by removing this overhead of the MEV. And what happens when we remove that overhead and get that surplus is we redistribute it back to the originators. So if you're a protocol that integrates and relays your transactions through our protocol, you receive 80% of this MEV that you didn't really even know you were kind of entitled to. Like this isn't revenue that you were seeing and then it was going away. Like this is a pure value add. And in addition, your markets or whatever it is, your protocol, your BAMM here in this case is rebalanced more frequently, and it's better for the LPs in different ways. And to get a little bit more into this integration, what's really fascinating is what we can do is we can sort of alter the fee structure so that our keepers pay sort of less in fees to rebalance, which kind of lets them relay this transaction through our layer. But then because we're passing back the majority of that value, the equation is still really good and likely better for LPs than if that fee had been in place, which is really fascinating to me. And so it's a really cool integration for us because it sort of splits the problem of liquidation backstops into two parts. This really complicated, difficult part of gathering this liquidity, making sure that there's a stability pool available to kind of liquidate collateral and to catch that collateral when it becomes unhealthy. And that's this great system that B.Protocol has devised and has set up. And then just this rebalancing part where there's MEV and we want to hurry up and get that the liquidity back into its yield-bearing state and fresh and ready for the next liquidation. That's where our protocol can really make that process super efficient, right? And drive this additional MEV value back into B.Protocol and its LPs. So yeah, a lot of really interesting stuff, and we're looking forward to, being able to run this same system on all the integrations you all do, and we hope there's a ton because we love the system, we love the BAMM, and are really excited for the future of what that kind of product can bring for all these lending protocols.
Thanks, Azard. Probably thanks for this, covering this both KeeperDAO and the specific integration we're working on with B.Protocol. If there are any questions, now is probably a good time for that. We'll take a few if there are any. Can either unmute yourself and ask, or you can drop it in the community call chat. Tommy, you're unmuted, so if it's for a question, welcome, but if it's just noise, so thanks. Any questions for Azard about KeeperDAO, about this integration in general? One is here as well, so if there are any technical questions, can be answered also. All right, so on our side, this proposal, which is on the forum, I think it's BIP number 10, will go hopefully live on a snapshot later today or early tomorrow. Probably depends also on your time zone. So that's gonna be live for a vote for the community to vote on. Once voted, there's also the BIP is already coming with the code that is relevant for execution. We'll need to get, like any other vote, we'll need to get 250K BPRO on the yes vote to integrate that. Once we get that, the multi-sig can execute that. And yeah, maybe if we're already talking about proposals, DAO snapshot, Adam, if you want kind of shortly to go through the two different signals. Maybe I'll give first a brief. So what's going to happen in this coming epoch vote? As far as I understand that, we're going to put up the KeeperDAO vote. As in previous epoch votes, we try and gather a few votes together into the same vote. So every BIP still needs kind of to get its own. I'm losing a word here. Help me out.
Are you talking about a batch voting on all these? As far as just making sure that each one has like a section that you can vote yes or no?
Yeah, no, quorum was the missing word. Yeah. So we just need to get 250K for each of the votes actually to be, as a quorum. But in this specific epoch vote, we're gonna get 2 signal votes just to get, as there's been long discussions on specifically on 2 subjects. One is on the staking mechanism, which Adam has put up a proposal for V tokenomics, like the one Curve has, with the needed adjustments, of course. So because this is still, hasn't been coded and it's not ready for full execution, but just to actually get kind of a real signal from the community, as these discussions have been going on for quite a long time. We'll put it up as a signal vote on Snapshot to actually see if it can get to a quorum or at least to a strong kind of support. And the other one will be about liquidity, BPRO liquidity, and how we can incentivize that. So there are a few options on that. There is one with GUNI. Previously, there was one with Visor, which didn't go through. Olympus Pro is another one. There are the kind of the classic liquidity mining 2 LPs as we had in the first liquidity mining of B.Protocol. We might want to look at L2s or different chains going on. Phantom, for example, is currently doing lots of stuff on mainnet. It's kind of hard for many. So yeah, this will probably be kind of a multi-option vote. So people can show what their preference, and according to that, we'll dig a bit deeper and come up with a finalized BIP for these 2 proposals. Adam, do you want to kind of briefly go through the the 2 proposals that you put on the forum?
Yeah, I mean, I can kind of give a basic premise. I've been talking with a variety of people about staking ideas. I know Anti-Fragile on here. We've had a few conversations about it, as well as other people. Really, I've always kind of thought that, I mean, given the long-term locking nature that we're kind of looking for when it comes to capital to backstop with, it kind of makes sense to build something around a vesting tokenomic strategy, and that's why I based it off of Curve. I think thus far, Curve has performed, at least according to the community sentiment, that it's performed the best as far as various staking technologies that people are looking at around the ecosystem. And using their kind of like 4-year lock with a linear decay on both sides of BPRO and the stable assets that we need to create these backstops with, I think it's just a kind of fair distribution of both the inflation and also, getting stable coin providers actually involved with BPRO holding, and I think it's going to draw those stable coin providers into the governance, hopefully. At least that's the idea behind kind of pushing a portion of the BPRO inflation towards the stablecoin providers. I think it just makes kind of a sense in an incentivized standpoint. And then that said, so apart from the staking proposal that I came up with and put forward, also I did have thought about that liquidity provision proposal that I put forward. And I would like to know Yaren's thoughts on on being able to like incentivize a GUnit pool in the way that I kind of describe in that we just use the slippage to kind of create a scaling incentive to rebalance the GUnit pool for us, so we can kind of step away and not worry about management as long as it's within the boundaries of the ticks. So if he wants to say anything, if he thinks it's just a crazy idea, then that's perfectly all right. But I just wanted to kind of get his feedback as well from it.
Yeah. No, so I also, what I discussed previously with Eitan, and I think, it's like a good opportunity to put it to some kind of community feedback, is that in terms of, like BPRO liquidity, like at the very high level, there are 2 or even 3, kind of approach and thing to consider. So one is, protocol own liquidity versus kind of renting liquidity, and I think definitely the trend today is more protocol owned, DAO owned liquidity, which GUnit, fits well there. But this is one of the things we want to get a signal. The third thing, which is kind of orthogonal, is maybe to kind of have a layer 2 liquidity because gas costs are so high. But and then if you focus on DAO owned liquidity, then yeah, GUnit is one option. Viso, despite they have some security issues, could be another. But and then definitely coding something over GUnit could do the trick. Not sure how optimized it is, but we are actually like very much in touch with Gelato team. And can investigate it more. I think more generally, I think that at this point people shouldn't, or at least I cannot expect much, from automated liquidity in general, etc. I mean, it definitely improves stuff, but I think with current gas fees and everything, it can definitely improve maybe by x2 or x3 the liquidity. But eventually, if the DAO would to, like put like $1 million to $2 million of liquidity, I mean, it will be better, but there are no, I mean, it's not really magic. So yeah, that's my view. But I think definitely it is interesting, like to get the feedback from the community, and now it's a good chance to put it to a signal vote, and like to get some decision on all the DAO liquidity possibilities, including Olympus and other.
All right, sounds good. Thanks for the feedback, and I do think that this is like kind of a good starting point for us at least to see what the community really wants as far as liquidity providing. So yeah.
Yeah, I think also, going into the snapshot will take us out from, the kind of not endless, but, very long time discussions over both Discord and the forum. So we can actually see if there's a real kind of support in the community for these subjects. The other vote that we will put on is the Nexus Mutual one. It was BIP 9. It was already up for a vote in the last in the last epoch vote. Didn't pass. We still think that a cover, kind of an insurance for B.Protocol is relevant. So this vote will be basically to allocate, don't remember now the fund, I think it was around 10K BPRO, just for to incentivize coverage on Nexus. And yeah, so that will be also kind of similar, a similar vote as B9. We'll just put it again into a vote. Visor, which was BIP 8, won't go as is back to vote, as I think we need kind of to get the liquidity issue again into kind of get a signal first, and Visor will be an option, one of the options. So if the community will decide to go with that, we can definitely go again and try and put it together. So that's regarding governance.
Ethan, maybe like one more thing about going back to GUnit. I think in general, also like investigating Visor more deeply. It's something we can do very easily with GUnit as well. But like the main advantage on Visor is that, and the main advisor there is that basically they heavily subsidize all the operation, all the gas costs. Like in general, they are very far to do magics on their own. It's basically something we can very easily do with GUnit, but the gas costs could be thousands of dollars per week, which with Visor we get it subsidized. But yeah, Visors also have disadvantages and had some security breaches lately. Yeah.
And by the way, we there's a question on the community call part from Antifragile about says is it possible to do one more I don't know, I'll let Yaron or Ethan address the question.
The question, if it's technically possible to do more than one type of staking. So I think if this is specifically about the VE token, and I'm not sure what by type means, but like in. So to be honest, I'm not sure I understand the question.
I can just assume that technically many things are possible, probably, but I think this is exactly why we go for a signal vote to see, what the community is actually supports, and probably according to that vote, we can, decide if we want to take another one.
So if the question if it has to be this staking, the V staking, or others, so I think like kind of depending on the signal, if there's a positive signal, we just investigate it further. And then bring it to more discussions and more development about the specific staking mechanism. I think in general, Atom's proposal was very detailed, but still open to many details and tuning, etc. So it's not like the end of the way, only the beginning. Again, if there's a positive feedback on that.
Yeah, I left it kind of abstract on purpose to kind of let the community fill the parts that it or change. I mean, all of it's just a suggestion, as everyone's pointing out.
All right. I think the next subject is about growth. There's been also lots of efforts on that aspect, besides of the development team and the governance. So we started with the coordinate circle last month, early January, or was it late December? No, early January, mid-January, basically. It was the first epoch, first time we used coordinate. I think it was a good kind of testing, both for the system and both for us as a community to actually take the growth kind of to the next step. We started with the growth squad, which Tragedy, Atom, and Ramaruro are holding that initially in kind of the Genesis growth squad, and now trying to bring more contributors into the growth of the protocol. And growth has lots of faces. We've seen bots coming up thanks to Jensen, both the liquidation bots, and hopefully that will grow as well. We've seen the Discord suddenly changing its face, looking better. There's like integrations coming out from members who's doing the intros. We have Project Galaxy now that hopefully we'll start using soon, TM. Again, thanks to an intro that Media did with us. So there's like lots of options. There's still kind of, I think what we discussed, and we keep on discussing that over the growth ideas channel, is how to bring more contributors into the circle to have more effect, more community members joining and participating, not only in governance but also in kind of the day-to-day life of the B.Protocol DAO and community. So I think that will be, if anyone, I know, Tragedy, if you want to give a few words maybe about the coordinate circle, as you've been the admin of that, kind of coordinating everything around that, or anyone who wants to kind of give their I don't know, ideas, suggestions on next steps on taking the coordinate circle into the next epoch. We just started. I'll say one word about before that. We're going to Denver next week. We're also organizing a small event there. There's like lots of meetings being organized with different protocols. So yeah, definitely exciting. Definitely, if you are there, join us. Drop us a line somewhere in Discord or Telegram, and be happy to meet up. Yeah. So if anyone, Tragedy, do you wanna? I don't know if you can't speak currently, but if you can, if you want to say anything about.
Yeah, I think the first epoch went rather well. I think we got a few new contributors, and then I think at least my take on how to proceed is sort of hoping to get more social media contributors, I guess, with a following or outreach somehow in social media. And yeah, just continue the discussions and work, I guess.
I definitely think
Right.
we've been successful. I do want to mention, by the way, for the coordinate circle and getting people more socially or more social media awareness spreading for BPRO. I just think that we should possibly think about going the Frog Nation route that they did, as far as like they created a variety of alts. The initiating people started like one alt account for BPRO that's based on just putting out like a meme a day or something like that. And if all of us, a few of us, kind of created an additional alt. I already have one BPRO alt, but just used it as another way to distribute. That's just a thought, by the way, for everyone.
Yeah, I think we had also. I wrote it also. I think we had a good experience with KeeperDAO, and definitely going out and we kind of stopped out, didn't actually were active on bringing kind of outside influencers to kind of keep on pushing B.Protocol into the greater DeFi ecosystem. I think that kind of it had some results previously when the growth squad was working on that. So we saw, I think, both on content that the KeeperDAO has created for us and a few interviews, and I think this is something definitely should be kind of we should work towards that. So yeah, I think that's definitely something. We do have kind of the funds to do that. We got a few proposals, but also on Discord, but from marketing agencies or influencers, but none of them were actually picked up. So I think we can, as the funds are there, the community, the DAO has allocated the funds for that already a few months ago. I think we can definitely, get in touch again with influencers, and it drives some new blood in the system in a way, and going out and calling for new kind of active members to join in. It can be also kind of a very low-hanging fruit, just going over, for example, on Vesta today, on Vesta Discord, there was like lots of discussions there and kind of pushing B.Protocol and the integration over their Discord. I think that's something that may be hard to evaluate in a way, like how many B-Pros should I give someone for pushing B.Protocol on Vesta in their Discord, but definitely something we should kind of aim for more community members to do. Or we have the power of the many, and we should put it to work more. So that's kind of my take.
There's a comment, by the way, from Josh Wad in the chat.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
just to help those who are investing in liquidity staking to just understand what the potential risks are and how to like model their returns. I mean, obviously, I can just go on to Dune Analytics and I can just show them the staking APRs. But if I want to do something significantly more to help them understand why those APRs are so high, like I've spent a lot of time just trying to wrap my mind around like how a stablecoin can provide APRs that are that high.
Yeah. No. So just I think that maybe I can elaborate more on the risk, but in terms of the APY, I think like from the actual liquidations, given the size of the stability pool, most of the API just comes from liquidity subsidy. So they subsidize it heavily with their tokens. So this is the main route for the API. It's like 10% from the LQTY subsidy. And yeah, I mean, you can expect around 2 to 3%, maybe more with liquidations, but like the majority is from LQTY. In terms of the risk, so there are the usual smart contract risks. You might have risk, if you don't trust LUSD as a stable coin, right? So you might have risk, holding it.
Right. I think I understand like the basic.
And then like another risk, which is special for liquidations is that whenever there's a liquidation, some of the LUSD is being converted to ETH. And then before, so now we will have KeeperDAO and everything, but even with them, we cannot 100% promise that it will be converted back to ETH before the market crash, right? So
of course.
So these are the risks.
Right. Yeah, and I think I understand all those, but still, it's just like not being able to like look at the code. I mean, I've hired like my own kind of code audit for the just recently, I think there's like a legacy version of Liquidity now, and there's a newer version of Liquidity that would address like some of the issues that happened with the LUSD peg on the 21st. So I'm doing as much as I can to take care of these people. But yeah, I mean, I'm always just sometimes it helps to just like have like you can read as much as you want, but to actually like interface with another person that's kind of on the inside that can give you like the inside baseball take on like this is what you really need to pay attention to. Because again, I'm not a developer. I can read all these posts, but like to really have somebody that like they intuitively have some understanding about how much money should people really be putting into these protocols is helpful.
Yeah. So I'm always happy to answer questions both on this Discord and I don't know if you want to have like a voice call or video call. Yeah, that's also possible. We previously had numerous calls with some sort of venture capital firms that kind of staking liquidity. So yeah, I mean, we previously had multiple calls with such investors in the past, and we'll be happy to do more again. But also with standard users, whoever want to ask questions, both on the Discord, and we'll be happy to also have a voice for people.
I will PM you then because it might be helpful for you to kind of understand.
Yeah. Okay. So I think in general for risks. Like for general discussions, it might even help to do it publicly, but yeah, whatever. I mean, if this is like general risk questions, I think everyone can benefit from the discussion. Yeah, if it's specific to some fund, then yeah, you can DM me and let's discuss that.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any more questions or ideas? I know things you want to raise, concerns, whatever. All right. So maybe just last word before we conclude this call. It's Denver is coming up next week, as I mentioned. We co-host the Boomer Nation event together with the lineup of other Boomer protocols. Sorry, Hazard. But KeeperDAO is one of them. Of course, Immunify, UMA, PowerSwap, Gnosis Chain, CowSwap. I hope I didn't miss anyone. And basically, it's a networking event in East Denver, as you know, many are coming over just to meet other people in DeFi and in the ecosystem and to meet up. But besides of that, it's kind of a call, to all those DeFi builders, which have been kind of ridiculed for, I think, too long by Degens and Chads, for not diving in, taking security as something serious, not testing in prod, and kind of, been inspired by the Frog Nation, but in the opposite direction in a way, maybe. So this is kind of a call out to the DeFi community to join the Boomer Nation. You can see that I added on Twitter this nerd emoji to my handle, kind of to showing the support. The nerd emoji was chosen to show kind of being a proud boomer, being proud in real builders, protocols that build real infrastructure for DeFi. So we'll tweet about that probably in the coming days as well. And you're all welcome to either or both retweet that, share that around, add the nerd emoji to your Twitter handle to show your support. And hopefully see you in Denver.
Okay, well, we'll be in Denver and I'll see you there, man.
Great. So thanks everyone for joining this call. We'll have another call hopefully in less than a month from now. If other stuff will come, maybe we'll even make a call before that, maybe a community call with Vesta coming up. So we'll update you over Discord. Thanks everyone.
Thank you, Eitan.
Everybody.
Bye.